What's up guys, my name is Ryan and I just returned from sailing around the Aeolian Islands and I want to share with you my favorite places. So here is my Aeolian Islands top 10. The Aeolian Islands are an archipelago made up of 7 inhabited islands located off of Sicily's northern coast. The islands were created by volcanic activity, and as a result, they have some of the most bizarre landscapes and are also home to 2 of Italy's 4 active volcanoes. With jagged green cliffs that reminded me of Hawaii, whitewashed towns that look like Greece, and crystal clear waters with volcanic bubbles, the Aeolian Islands truly are incredible. Now to get to the Aeolian Islands, there's several ways to go about it. You can take a ferry from Sicily, but in my opinion, the best way to experience them is by boat. Now let's start this video off on the island called Vulcano. Now this is the closest island to Sicily, and it took us about 2 hours to sail there. Now on our way to Vulcano, we came across a pod of dolphins that swam with our boat for about 20 minutes. The sea was glass and they were just jumping out of the water, and it was just a pretty magical experience. Now when you get to the port, you'll be able to see this massive volcano that overlooks the island. When the Romans lived on the island, they believed the volcano was the chimney of Vulcan, who was the Roman god of fire. Now the first thing we did was go on a hike to the top to reach the rim of the volcano. It took us about 30 minutes and it wasn't too hard. Now when we got to the crater, the smoke was just pumping out of it and created such a unique landscape. I love the view from on top because you can see the other Aeolian Islands. I mean, just hard to beat that view. Now we didn't stay too long because it just started pouring rain, but if you're on the island, I definitely recommend doing this hike. Now afterwards, we're going to visit the island of Lipari. Now it's located just north of Vulcano, and Lipari is the biggest island in the archipelago. It has a population around 12,000 and has been inhabited since 5000 BC. Now when we were there, we anchored our boat near an abandoned pumice mine. Now the water was crystal clear and we had such a good time jumping off the boat and swimming in the water, and it was just so enjoyable to swim in. I also thought the village of Caneto was really beautiful. It was surrounded by green coastline and beautiful blue water with a great beach. Now one of my favorite features of the island was the Fariglioni di Lipari. They're these stone pinnacles located on the south side of the island. I mean, it's just such a cool rock formation. From the pinnacles, you also get great views of Vulcano Island. Now afterwards, we're going to visit the island of Salina. Now it's the second largest island of the archipelago. It's made up of 2 volcanic domes. It's a lush island with green slopes and several beautiful villages. We stayed a night at the town of Santa Maria Salina. It was a really nice commune and we had a great time walking around the quiet streets and boardwalk. It was really an enjoyable place to relax and explore. After visiting the town, we sailed over to Salina's western side to visit Polara. Now, of all the places I went on the Aeolian Islands, I think this was my favorite. Polara is this village and it's home to these steep green mountains and ocean cliffs that remind me of Hawaii. I guess you could call it the Napoli coast of Italy. I mean, just didn't even look real. Now we docked our catamaran here and spent several hours just enjoying the scenery. I did some diving and had a great time swimming in the crystal clear blue waters and had like this really distinct black sand on the bottom, which I thought was pretty cool. Now at Polara, there isn't much beach besides the little patches of sand that hug the cliffs, but you can hike up to a lighthouse that overlooks the area, and there's also this really cool sea arch that I had to fly through. We were here till like sunset and the light just like hit the cliffs, and it was just such a phenomenal time. Now afterwards, we're going to head over to the island of Panarea. Now even though Panarea is the smallest of the inhabited Aeolian Islands, it's probably my favorite. Recently, Panarea has rose in popularity with many famous celebrities visiting, and it's been described as the epicenter of the chicest summer scene in the Mediterranean. The island is full of whitewashed houses, and it totally reminded me of a Greek island like Santorini. Now while we were there, we anchored in the southern side of the island in this cove called Zimari. We got on the shore and hiked up through this ancient settlement that dates back to the Bronze Age during 2000 BC. There wasn't much besides the stone bases of the huts, but it was very well preserved, and the people who built this knew what they were doing because they have one of the best views in the world, surrounded by some phenomenal beaches. I would have loved to live there back then. Now from the ancient settlement, you can also hike down to the secluded beach called Cala Junco. I mean, just such a cool spot. Now afterwards, we sailed to the northern side of Panarea to witness some of the craziest sea cliffs I've ever seen. I mean, these cliffs were at least several hundred meters high, and they had these striking dark colors. From up close, you can see the volcanic origins of the cliffs. We had the whole area to ourselves and took out the paddleboard to explore it. I mean, it's just hard to believe places like this exist. Now off of Panarea, there's several uninhabited islands that you can reach by boat. We set out to this island called Lisca Bianca. Now one cool feature of this spot is there's a place in the sea where volcanic gas leaks from the ocean floor, so we took a boat out and we jumped in to swim. Now this is one of the coolest places I've ever dived. The water was perfectly clear and there was dozens of bubble columns that rise up from the ocean floor. It was about 10 meters deep, and me and my buddy Rainis swam to the bottom and we could put our hands on top where the gas bubbles were leaking from the ocean floor. I thought the bubbles would make the water warm, but it didn't make much of a difference. Still a little chilly down there. Nonetheless, this is one of my favorite spots, not only because the diving was amazing, but I just loved how it was secluded and had some of the most insane views. Now for our last destination, we're going to visit the island of Stromboli. Now out of all the Aeolian Islands, I think Stromboli is the most epic. When J.R.R. Tolkien sailed by the island in 1966, he said he had never seen anything that looked so much like Mount Doom. It's one of the 4 active volcanoes in all of Italy, and it's honestly just such a cool place. The island has a few villages. We got off our boat and walked around San Vincenzo. It was a really beautiful and quiet town overlooked by the Stromboli volcano. We found an amazing place for some pizza and walked around the village's alleys. Now from San Vincenzo, you can take a guided tour near the top of the volcano. We didn't have enough time to do it, but I'd love to do it someday. Now when we got on our boat, we sailed to the northern side of the island to get the best views of the volcano. Now this place was just unreal. It has this volcanic slope that dives into the ocean, and we were the only people out there. We could see the smoke coming out of the top of the volcano, and one of the craziest things was when it would erupt, the volcano would shoot out rocks that would roll down the slope and crash into the ocean. We waited around for a big eruption, but Stromboli decided to act pretty chill that day. Anyways, we stayed around for nightfall and we could see the lava shooting out the top, and it was the perfect way to end our trip. Well, that is it for my Aeolian Islands top 10. It was one of my favorite places I've been and couldn't recommend them enough. The landscapes were the best of the best and just so different on every island, and there were like hardly any people there. It's definitely the hidden gem of the Mediterranean.